Welcome to Senior Insights. My name is Cynthia, and today we are going to talk about powerful health statistics showing that humor reduces stress 43%, a 43% reduction in stress. Now, most of us are stressed at one time or another. We're getting better at controlling it because that's what we're working on this channel a lot of the time. And then did you know that it reduces loneliness by 20%? 20%. That's a lot. And a lot of us are lonely at one time or another during the day, during the week, all the time. So doesn't it make sense that we learn about laughter and humor and figure out how to practice it? So it's not an accident. Laughter is not an accident. It's necessary. It's an evolutionary tool for health. Hard to believe, I know, because it's kind of funny, but it's true. So laughter and humor they're not luxuries. They're not something that you put in the closet. They are essential for biological and social interactions, mechanisms that directly impact our physical health and our social success. So laughter is essential. I'm going to keep saying that. Today, in this video, we're going to just talk about the three main sections: the science, the benefits, and the practice of laughter. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope you learn something about laughter, and I hope you laugh occasionally. So Carol, who is the inspiration, Carol from Plain Vanilla Grandma, is the inspiration for this video because she had an incident last week where she was asleep and she accidentally started a live on YouTube, and she was sleeping. But when she woke up and realized she was on a live, she turned it into something funny. She laughed at herself. She laughed at the whole thing. How could this happen? And I wondered how it could happen too. But she laughed and she laughed and she laughed. And I laughed. And I bet people that watched it joined her in laughing. She was laughing at herself and the whole incident. It was laughable. Then she did another video. She did a video on how it releases endorphins. Laughter releases endorphins, those happy hormones that are natural painkillers. You get an overall sense of well-being when you laugh. Releases serotonin. Serotonin uptake is one of the biggest things that antidepressants do. They try and increase your serotonin uptake so that you're happier and you're calmer and you're more content. Then it reduces cortisol. So it decreases stress hormones. So in a way, laughter is like pushing a reset button and kind of blocking out those things and, the stress, the loneliness and everything, and just laughing and resetting them, reducing your stress, feeling more calm. And maybe if you're with somebody, relating to them. Then it's actually a physical workout. It is. Now look at, when I started laughing, my cheeks went up, so my face is laughing, my throat is laughing, my stomach was laughing. Was doing something. It was exercising. It was exercising. You use your diaphragm, you use your abdominal muscles, and you laugh. You use your belly. It's actually called the humor reflex. I have to fix this. It's an involuntary response, often shared. A lot of people, one person starts laughing and finds something funny, the next person starts laughing, and the next person, and the next person. So laughter can be contagious. So you're all exercising. You're doing a physical workout. You're doing a mental workout and reset. And you're having fun. Have you ever laughed so hard that your stomach hurt? That's because those muscles aren't being worked. So let's start laughing. When I first started this channel, I did a lot of humorous things, and it just came natural. And I wondered, where did it come from? Well, it just came from inside. It was just trying to escape all this time. I guess I gave it permission to do that. But once I did, it was fun, and you folks enjoyed it. And I think I've lost a little of that. So I'm going to try and get it back so that you can have fun and I can have fun. It also increases your thinking, your creative ability. So let's talk about the physical health, because we've talked about it sort of, but we've talked about it in terms of exercising your brain and your muscles. But it gives you, it increases your immunity. It increases, it boosts those cells. It increases antibiotics or anti-inflammatory things in your system. It improves the blood flow to your heart when you laugh. Just think about it. When you laugh, you're constricting your blood vessels and then you're letting them go. And it's going to your heart. It's going to your brain. So it's helping flush out your brain. And it's helping your heart. It also relieves pain. Now, probably a lot of you are not going to believe this, because I know a lot of you are in pain. And I'm sure that it doesn't relieve intense pain. But when you laugh, it does reduce some pain. You distract yourself from the pain that you're feeling, if that's possible with the level of pain you are. You know, I told you I'm not an expert. This is just what I think. I think that if you laugh, you forget about everything else that's going on around you and in you. Just my theory. It is a universal social signal, so it increases building trust and friendship and camaraderie, strengthens relationships. A couple that can laugh together and find something amusing, it strengthens their relationship. When I laugh, and I get you to laugh, it strengthens our relationship. It does. Many of you really enjoy it when we're laughing. Some people used to say to me, I haven't heard this in a while, you're a hoot. You are really funny. I need to watch you in the morning because you make me laugh. Well, it's probably because they were feeling those positive effects from laughter. So now that we know how good it is for physically and health-wise, how do we practice more laughter? That is the trick. Well, we've talked about this before, because many of the issues and problems that you and I have, being of the age we are all kind of the same. They're all the same. And even though they're redundant, we have to keep practicing them, or we have to keep hearing about them because we don't practice them. We don't always do what we know is right. So you need to focus on amusement every single day. Find something that's funny. Like Carol did when she made a mistake or had a whatever it was. She laughed about it. She made it a positive thing. People enjoyed her laughing. People were relieved that she was laughing. I laughed. It gave me an idea to do this video. So laughter is something that you want to find every single day. And it's not just about telling jokes. I can't tell a joke for anything. But if you want to hear funny stories, go to Kentucky Life with Debbie. She tells humorous stories practically every time at the end of her video. So you have to, there's a rule of 3 for diffusing tension, and I'm not going to go into that because that is a whole other subject. I don't understand it, but I'm going to study it because I think we need to know some of the examples that come out of the rule of 3. But we have to take intentional, remember that, intentional, we talk about intentional all the time, mindful steps to increase the humor and laughter in your life. You have to spend time with funny people. That means you have to watch Senior Insights and see if I'm getting funnier. Watch comedy. Now, I've told you this before. Find a comedian on YouTube. There's tons of them. There are Christian ones. There are stand-up bar ones. There are really raunchy ones. And there's something for everyone. There's elderly women who do elderly jokes, who talk about what it's like to be old. There's one woman who does, she says a prayer. I don't know if this is blasphemous. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to tell you about that one. You'll probably find her if you follow the advice and go figure out how to find some humor and laughter in your life. 10, 15 minutes every day. Just laugh for that 10, 15 minutes. Spend some time with someone that's funny. I don't have anyone that's funny around me. I don't really have anyone except you guys. And sometimes you're funny. Sometimes the comments are really funny. I laugh every time Woody gives me a comment. I say, oh, here he is. And some people that I'm really familiar with, I really enjoy your comments and they make me laugh or they make me smile. Actively look for the absurd. Look for something that is just, I can't even think of it because it's so absurd. And I didn't think of an example. But I think that there's plenty of things in your entire life. Just like the decluttering. One thing led to another thing, led to another thing. And I felt like crying, but I just kept on going. And even when I couldn't transfer videos, I said, well, they know what I'm like. They know that I'm human. They know that I have technical difficulties. They're just going to laugh it off and accept me. And I turned it around. I said, they're going to be laughing at me. And that's okay because you're going to be laughing at me in a supportive way. You're going to be laughing with me. That's what I've tried to do with this whole not being able to transfer files. So encourage playfulness. Tease somebody. Invite someone over for tea. Give them a teacup with a tea bag in it. Pour yourself a cup of tea and don't pour them any water. And see what happens. Do you think that they might say, do you think I could have a cup of tea? Do something like an old lady would do. That's something that you could do. Or, I don't know, think of something. Think of something silly. Not like we used to do in nursing school, like grease the toilet seat or anything like that. No, just something simple. Something really simple. If you ask somebody that they want a muffin and you give him a crumb of a muffin instead of a whole muffin, and they don't know what to do, they don't know how to handle it. Anyway, this one last thing, I'm going to tell you a story. I was in Jamaica. I used to go to Jamaica all the time with my boyfriend. And I decided that I wanted to try edible, they call it ganja in Jamaica. And so I was on the beach, laying there in my bathing suit on a lounge chair, and I took a little bite. It was like a little brownie or cake or something. And I said, I don't know why people do this, because I don't feel anything, and I think it's ridiculous. I said, I've been sitting here for 10 minutes and nothing's happening. So I took another bite, a bigger bite. I felt it. I felt it really bad. Like really bad. It was very unpleasant. My head was going, ooh. And thankfully I was laying on the lounge chair. Well, this lady comes up to me. She didn't know that I was like so looped that I couldn't even open my eyes practically. And she said to me, she told me she was from Canada. She had beautiful pine trees in her backyard. I remember that. And then she says, do you ever do laughing yoga? I said, I don't feel like laughing right now. I'm sorry. And she proceeds to tell me how wonderful it is and how I should consider practicing laughing yoga, and that there are groups all over that practice laughing yoga. So I said, okay. So when I came home, I looked it up, and sure enough, there's tons of groups on YouTube that do it. It's called laughing yoga. And sometimes they get together, they'll have conventions. The small groups will get together, or they'll practice it by themselves. And of course, you can't go to a group every day, so you have to learn how to practice it by yourself. So I watched this gentleman. I watched a couple because I really wanted to be convinced about laughing yoga. So I watched one, and he says, you have to practice every day. He said, but what if you get up at 5 o'clock and everyone in your house is sleeping, and you want to practice laughing yoga? He says, come with me. He goes in the bathroom, he shuts the door, he stands in front of the mirror, and he starts silently laughing like, without making any noise. He did that for like 10 minutes. I just did that now. I think it really is good physical exercise for you. Anyway, so then I watched another one. And the whole time this man is doing his presentation, he's going, and he's talking in between, just like I'm trying to do. But he was like, so he wasn't embarrassed to be laughing and being funny on the video. He was teaching us how to laugh. So look up laughing yoga on YouTube, because that will make you laugh. Maybe you'll like it. I thought it was a little too weird for me, but when I was doing this video, I looked at it again, and maybe it's not such a bad idea. Watch a little bit of laughing yoga. Maybe some of you already do laughing yoga. Tell us in the comments, please. So basically, the message that I'm trying to give to you, it's good for your physical well-being, your endorphins, your mental stability, your calmness. It's good for your, it has powerful health and social benefits. It's good for your relationships. It's good for is good for everything. So, and the last thing that we talked about is practice. Find some way to practice, whether it's laughing yoga or whether it's watching me or watching a comedian or watching Lucy. I love Lucy. There are many ways that you can practice being funny. Do a little joke on somebody. Practice, be silly. Be silly, let it all out. Let your real childlike behavior come out like I'm doing. So they say that laughter is the best medicine, and I just showed to you that yes, it is. It does seem to be the best medicine. So I would like to challenge you to do one act of happiness or laughter or humor, not happiness, humor, laughter, and or playfulness in the next 24 hours. See if you can do it. Most of you are probably already gone because you said, who the heck needs to learn how to laugh? So, I am going to close with this. They say laughter adds years to your life. So if you hear me cackling in the grocery store, you will know I'm aiming for 110. I will see you tomorrow. And start laughing.